Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 6,000 subscribers. I greatly appreciate the support recently. It is transfer deadline day. It's also a Friday. It's the end of the week. I hope you've had a good week, ready for a good weekend. But it is transfer deadline day and it's not looking good, Rev. Ultimately, I was hoping for more today, is the truth. We'll get into it. We've got Arteta's press conference as well. Arteta's done a press conference, obviously spoke about transfers, but also spoke about the Manchester United game on Sunday. Lots of you here already. Hi, Adam, Andreas, Kieran, A16, Smithy, Francisco Oliveira, Ross, Leeds Gunner, Ash, Ethan, Caleb, and many more. Tony, Tom, Yoel, it's good to see you all. Emilio, couldn't make it yesterday, but as always, watched the stream back this morning. Massively appreciate that. Have you got tickets for United? And if so, how did you get them? I do have tickets for United. Actually, I got very lucky. This week. A friend of a friend had 2 spare tickets. He's a season ticket holder, had 2 spare tickets, wasn't going, and I got offered them. So, yeah, I got very lucky this week that I didn't have to spend hours and hours on the ticket exchange, but I'm buzzing for it. I am buzzing for it. Ryan Johnson, good to see you. Beast Destroyer's in here as well. We have less defenders than last season. It's true. It is true. So let's get on to the news and what has happened so far. Of course, there is still 6 hours left of the transfer window. Things can change. But as it stands, Rob Holding, medical ongoing for Rob Holding at Crystal Palace. Done deal. Here we go. £4 million fee. That obviously came from Fabrizio Romano. Permanent transfer from Arsenal for the centre-back who preferred a move to Palace over proposals from La Liga. Of course, he did have options out there. Mallorca was an option. But he's picked Crystal Palace. And look, it makes complete sense. He stays in the Premier League. He can continue living in London or wherever he lives on the outskirts of London, I expect. And so fair play to him. I'm happy for him. It's a good move for him. Obviously, I don't think he'll be a starter necessarily for Crystal Palace. I'm a big fan of Joachim Andersen and Mark Guehi. But he'll certainly be closer to the starting 11 than he is at Arsenal. A servant to the club, a proper servant to the club. We know he didn't have the ability to perform at the level that we need our players to perform at now. But you couldn't ask for more of a professional. Fantastic player to have around the dressing room. I don't know if you saw that interview recently that he did. I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel now, which is bad, but it was a good interview. And look, he did his time. He only cost £2 million, and we've doubled our money selling him for £4 million. So all the best to him. All the best to Rob Holding. I hope he does well. I hope he does get to play some games. And that's it's, one of those players out the door. Some people think we could have got more than £4 million. It's tricky. It's tricky to know, in all honesty. And people say, Chelsea would have got 10 million for him. I don't know if they would. Timsy, that was the podcast. Timsy podcast, that's the one. I don't know if Chelsea would have got 10 million for Rob Holding. It's the honest truth. Palhinha deal's collapsing. Palhinha deal to Bayern is collapsing. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder why. Ibrahim Ahmed, good to see you. No problem. Didn't Holding only cost 2 million? Yeah, Holding cost 2 million. We sold him for 4 million. Doubled our money. Hey, profit. But no, I don't think you could have got much more for him, in all honesty. Ross Lawman says, this is an 8 out of 10 window for me. We have a maximum of 26 games until January 1st. We will make it easily until then with this squad. Dominate performances, I'm sure. 8 players who can play defensive roles. I'm not so sure that it's going to be that easy to get to January without having some sort of defensive crisis. It depends. It's completely luck-based. But my issue is that I don't like taking an unnecessary risk, and I feel like leaving ourselves with this level of defensive depth is a bit of an unnecessary risk. Matt Medius says, I had a shit day at work, but hearing Holding has sold made my day. Matt Medius, not a Rob Holding fan. And I'm sorry that you had a bad day at work. But look, it's the weekend. Time to get on it. Germany window is over. The German window has closed. Gravenberch 2 will collapse. Go to where? What's going on? So hang on. So the German window has shut. Presumably people knew this was coming, though. This isn't like a... This is a fixed time. This isn't like a restaurant where the owners just suddenly decided to shut early and have an early night. I don't understand. João Palhinha completed 2 rounds of medical tests, took pictures in the Bayern shirt, but the deal is currently collapsing. That's according to Fabrizio Romano. However, okay, so the reason that may well cause the Gravenberch deal to collapse is Bayern were waiting on signing Palhinha before they would agree to sell Gravenberch. So Gravenberch completed his medical at Liverpool, but Bayern Munich will not let that happen if they don't get Palhinha. Wow. And that's all happened because the window shut? Is that I haven't seen that it's to do with the window shutting. I just fail to believe that the clubs would be that useless that they wouldn't realise that the window was shutting. Swear Liverpool won't get Gravenberch if they don't get Palhinha? No. However, imagine this. Palhinha falls through, Gravenberch falls through. Liverpool just pivot and get Palhinha. That's what I'd do. If I was Liverpool, I'd just pivot and I'd skip out the middleman. Just go and get Palhinha. Palhinha is more suited to what Liverpool actually need in terms of a defensive midfielder than Gravenberch. Gravenberch is a box-to-box 8, in my opinion. So if I was them, I'd just pivot and get Palhinha. Rory, is there a slight possibility we get someone else? I mean, there's a very small chance, potentially. There's centre-back from Galatasaray that supposedly we'd open talks with, but it was reported by like one random reporter. Generally speaking, I don't think anything's going to happen. But look, time will tell. So we've done Rob Holding, SAMBI LOKONGA, Albert SAMBI LOKONGA, Fabrizio Romano, Luton Town have asked for SAMBI LOKONGA on loan. The club director, Gary Sweet, confirms to Sky negotiations are ongoing. And the latest from Gary Cotterill, SAMBI LOKONGA is now close to completing a loan move to Luton Town. So, look, I'd have preferred he'd gone somewhere else, I'll be honest. I don't know that putting him into that Luton team is necessarily going to show us as much as if you'd put him into a better, more progressive team. I'd have much preferred to see him at Burnley, who aren't significantly better than Luton necessarily. They are better than Luton, but they play a lot better style of football. So I'm not... I just worry that it's a bit of a waste of a loan because I don't know how much it will tell us. Which is a shame. I was really hoping we'd make one more signing before the end. Feel like we started the window strong and ended it poorly. Didn't apart to what's happened to the team. I agree to an extent. It's a difficult one, and I tweeted this out earlier. Like, that Timber injury has just massively changed how a lot of us, I think, feel about the transfer window. I think if Timber was fit, we'd be talking about this window being a 9 out of 10. We have shifted a fair amount of the deadwood at this point, and the signings were good. But with that injury, it's a sticky one because we simply have less defensive depth this year than we did last. Bella Kotchap and Kyle Walker-Peters are realistic and could get done quick, but doubt we would go for them. They're my 2 top targets. For a loan deal. That's who I'd be going for, in all honesty. That is who I'd be going for. In terms of the deadwood we've got left, Pepe, basically nothing about that, nothing about Pepe, and Cedric. The elephant in the room is Cedric Suarez. And again, zero news on that. Absolutely nothing. Now, there are windows that stay open beyond today. I think the Turkish window stays open. The Saudi window stays open. We could still sell them. But it's not an ideal position to be in. And it says a lot. You know, we might actually just end up terminating Pepe's contract. And I don't really know what Cedric's still doing at the club, in all honesty. Everyone is forgetting that we can recall a defender back from loan, such as Tierney. We can, but I think that's unlikely. Would love to see Walters get some minutes this season, especially in cup games. Well, so this is, again, I tweeted this earlier. For me, the only way it is acceptable for us not to dip into the loan market for a defender is if Ruel Walters is considered ready to step up if he needs to. In my opinion, if Ruel Walters, if Arteta thinks that if there is an injury crisis, Ruel Walters is ready to step up, fair enough. Fair enough. That's fine. But if he's not, then we got a problem. Will we end Cedric's contract? I don't know. Possibly. But the thing is, the other player, you can't just terminate someone's contract. The player themselves has to agree. Like, it has to be a mutual decision to terminate someone's contract. So a lot of the time when you see that happen, a player wants their contract to be terminated so they can move somewhere else on a free and they'll get similar wages. No one's going to pay Cedric what he's earning now. Simple as that. No one's going to pay him what he's earning now. And so it might actually be better for him just to spend another year at Arsenal on the wage he's currently on, which is a pain. But it's, partially our fault for giving him the contract in the first place. Ben Mattinson says, I think it's over now. Walters and Sousa will be getting games. I think especially with Walters, they're looking to bring him in. I hope so. And again, Sousa, Lino Sousa, is he ready? We won't know. We won't know until it happens, is the truth. Why can't he just lower his contract? I mean, what's the incentive for him? The reason we did it with El Neni was to give him an extra year so that he wasn't left without a club whilst doing rehab. There's no reason for Cedric to agree to lower his contract. We still have time to get rid of Cedric because of the Saudi window before you rant about him. We do, but there's been nothing. So that's why I'm not ranting so much about Pepe, because there have been links with Pepe to Saudi. There's been nothing about Cedric going to Saudi. With Zinchenko, Holding and Saliba all bigging up Walters, the kid is ready. You'd hope so, yeah. And look, as it stands, I mean, for me, we've got 6 out-and-out defenders at the club at this point. We've got White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, and Kivior, with Timber out injured. Is that enough, given how injury-prone Tomiyasu and Zinchenko have been? Is it enough? All right, you can play Partey at right back, but I've not particularly enjoyed it so far. It's tricky. Have the UCL dates been announced yet? I'm not sure. Probably, right? Let me have a look. They might be on the Arsenal website. Let me have a look. SS9, good to see you in the chat. No, I don't think the dates are out yet. Basically, our squad's gotten even younger. Our squad's got younger, yeah. It has. So we have 6 defenders and 2 defenders are injury prone. Yeah, effectively. And then you've got arguably Rice and Partey who can fill in defence if you really need them to. And Tomiyasu and Thomas Partey will both be going to Tomiyasu will be going to the Asia Cup and Partey will be going to the African Cup of Nations in January. So both of them are gone in January anyway for a month. So I think it's a problem. I do think it's a problem. And I just think, I look at someone like Bella Kotchap is available for a loan deal today. Kyle Walker-Peters, versatile, could play off the right, could play off the left. He's not level changing. He's not better than Timber. He only plays if we've got injuries, but at least you've got someone there at that point. That's my opinion. And I feel like Timber's injury came early enough that we had time to deal with it. And so I understand people saying, well, Arsenal couldn't have seen that Timber was going to get an ACL injury, and that's completely fair. But it happened at a point where we had time to make a signing after it. If it had happened on Sunday after the window had closed, I'd be like, well, there's nothing we could do about it. But I do feel like there's something that we could do about this. Belakotchap is mid. I mean, he's very young, and I thought he was quite impressive at Southampton, personally. He'd be the kind of last choice player that would come into the team if necessary, but it wouldn't be a bad option to have. I reckon we've done this in order to spend a lot in Jan. I mean, why would we have loaned Raya if we weren't going to buy more? I don't know. It's a good point. Time will tell. Rory, first game week is 19th, 20th of September. Yeah, it is, yeah. The first game week is between Everton and Tottenham. Is El Neni still an Arsenal player? Yeah, El Neni's here for another season, but he's on tiny wages. I don't care about El Neni. He's on, literally, his wages are next to nothing, and he's also just doing his coaching badges and stuff. Like, he's not going to play. So it doesn't really bother me, El Neni. Belakotchap wouldn't be any better than Tavares. Well, I mean, they're just completely different players, to be fair. But I mean, I think he is better than Tavares as a defender. Prediction lineup for Sunday. Ramsdale, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Rice, Ødegaard, Saka, and Nketiah. Gabriel Martinelli. Rory, you forgot about guess the non-Gooner last stream. I did. I apologise. I jumped off quickly. I do apologise. Embarrassing not getting another body in. Yeah, it wasn't great. How was your shoot yesterday? It was good, thank you. Very good, actually. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Rory, I'm quite worried if Partey plays right back because Rashford could cook him. We need White there. Yeah, I agree. I want to see the normal back four. And talking about that, we'll go into Arteta's press conference, which was, I mean, I've seen a couple of clips. There were some quite funny moments from it. He was asked about Balogun, Tavares, and Kieran Tierney leaving. He said, we're working together to find the best possible solutions, and we found them. I think the players are happy, and the club did some good business as well. On Balogun's transfer, he simply said, we didn't have the space for him in the squad to give him the minutes that he needs. He was doing well last year in his loan period. He's evolved in the right way and wanted the chance to continue developing his career. He's going to a really good club that has a huge experience of developing talent, as everyone knows, so I'm really happy for him. Whether he's excited about transfer deadline day, he said, for me, it will be serene. I don't have to do much work. We're trying to finalise a few things. Again, doesn't sound like we're signing anyone. He was asked about Eddie Nketiah's call-up to the England squad, which, by the way, well-deserved call-up to the England squad for Eddie Nketiah. He said, I'm so pleased. If someone deserves to be in the England squad, it's him. An academy player that had some moments when his pathway wasn't very clear and he had to fight. I love his mentality, his work rate, how much he loves the game, and how hard he's fought to be recognised at that level. In this country, to play there is phenomenal. I'm so happy for him. And he was asked whether he takes personal pride on that. And he said everybody that has been involved in his development feels extremely proud to be on that journey with him. Everyone that has been at the academy with him and been on that journey, his family, everyone is proud of him. So it's a really nice moment for him. He was asked about putting a marker down against Manchester United. And I do think this United game is big. This United game is big because whoever loses has had a poor start to the season. Like, whoever loses this game will look at their first 4 games and say that's a poor start to the season. And he said, we know the history between the two clubs and the games that we had in the past. They were a really good example, so it's going to be a really competitive game and a big battle on Sunday. Obviously, we want to come away from that with 3 points. He was asked, kind of what I just said, about the game being an early indicator of title credentials. He said, I don't know. It's too early in the season to tell. We all want to win games. We all want to play the best possible way. That's not going to dictate, but it gives you the momentum and belief. He was asked why it's a high-scoring fixture against United. He said, first of all, the quality of the players. There are a lot of top offensive players in the two teams, and it's probably the approach of both teams. And then there's just a load of waffle. And then he was asked about, he went on this random rant, right? So basically, he was asked about tactical changes at the back. Will we see the normal defence on Sunday? And he just went mental. He said, I think we discussed formations in a different way. In the other game, there are 36 different formations in the match. Against Man City, there were 43. So I don't know what formation you're talking about. For me, it's something very different. He said, the personnel is different. We played differently against Man City, and there were 43 different structures in different phases. And then this is where it gets weird. He said, every morning I come from my house to Colney. Sometimes I leave at 6, and I need to wipe the windscreen because it's icy. And at 6 o'clock, normally I go down one road because it's faster. Now it's 20 miles an hour. So sometimes I take a back road, and then I go on the M25. But depending on if it's a school ride, then I take one exit. If it's after 7 o'clock, I take a different exit. One day I have a flat tyre, and what do? You have to replace it and take a different road because a garage is there. So every game is a different story. I don't know what he means. I kind of get what he means. Ultimately, he's saying, that you can get from A to B in a lot of different ways, and there are a lot of different formations and a lot of different tactics and stuff like that. But he's not really answered the question of, will you go back to the normal back four? Which was the question. So I get what he's saying, kind of. But what I really wanted him to say was just, yes, we'll go back. Which obviously, he was never going to say that. But nice analogy, but it doesn't change the fact that Havertz is shit. I mean, look, will Havertz start? Will Havertz start on Sunday? That's the question. He was asked if he's tempted to use the same team as last season. He said, I cannot do that. I have different players. Zinchenko was injured. Granit is not here. So how can I do that unless I bring them back? I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be different because it's a different season, and the beauty of the thing that I enjoy the most is that it's new and we can do much, much better in a lot of things. I mean, yeah, he's right about Granit Xhaka, but Zinchenko is back, and he can play. And we can basically play last season's team, but with Declan Rice instead of Granit Xhaka. So he was asked on whether Zinchenko will be involved on Sunday. He said he's a really important player, but so is Jurriën. What he was giving us in those first few games was incredible, but he's not there, so we have to do something else. And if we have another injury, we have to do something else. And if Bukayo is not there, we will have something else. So the M25 won't be good enough. Maybe we take another route. But if I speak to a taxi driver who has learnt the whole of London for 20 years, I know nothing compared to him because he will tell me the streets and the options that are there. So again, he's just been asked if Zinchenko is going to be available to play on Sunday. And he started talking about taxi drivers. And he's not really answered the question. And I don't know why he's talking about Jurriën Timber, who's out for 8 months. But again, I just think he was in a mood today. I honestly think he was just in a bit of a mood today and didn't really fancy answering the questions. He was asked about Ben White not being called up to the England squad. By the way, disgrace that Ben White isn't in the England squad. Whatever happened at the World Cup must have been more than they let on. He said Ben has been incredible since the start of the season. We know that he was there, and what happened is totally down to Gareth Southgate to make that decision. But certainly he has the level, and he's shown that for the last few years. He was asked about Smith Rowe's future. He said he has a role like everybody else, which is to give his best and make the team better. He was asked about the Champions League draw. He said, first of all, it was great to see it. I was there with my kids. They were betting on it, and it was great fun. It is what it is. We don't have any say on it, but there are some beautiful games to play, some very difficult matches as well, and we're looking forward to starting the journey. And then a bit of random stuff. Why he didn't go into the market following Jurriën Timber's injury. He said, well, we've done quite a lot, and obviously we have a lot of uncertainty over a lot of players as well, so we have to be very cautious and find alternatives and ways. Sometimes you want to do everything that is needed, but sometimes it's not possible, and we have to adapt. So that suggests that for whatever reason, we can't sign a replacement for Timber or someone to fill in for Timber, in terms of saying you want to do it, but it's not necessarily possible. He was asked if players had to leave before we could bring in more. He said yes, but then we could go and buy another 3 players. Someone gets injured long term. It's just not possible. Well, I wasn't really sure what he meant then either. He was asked about Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund could play on Sunday, according to Erik ten Hag. He trained this week and could play. That would be interesting. He said, I prefer not to speak about other players. He's a huge talent and everybody is talking really highly of him. And he will have to prove that in this league. He was asked if not knowing whether Højlund will play makes United more unpredictable. And he said, like any other club, they will try to get their squad to the highest level and have all the different qualities they need to challenge for all the trophies. I'm sure that's what they're trying to do. Again, didn't really answer the question. And And that's pretty much it, to be honest. He was asked about conversations with Smith Rowe. He said, obviously, I have conversations with him, and it's important for him to understand where he is. It was always going to be tricky in the first 3 or 4 weeks, not just for us, but for all of the clubs, when you see all of the rumours about all of the players that are not playing and are unhappy, not only in this country, but in every country, because it's 1 game per week for a month, and everybody has started the new season with huge aspirations. And there's not minutes for everybody. September will be very different. And that's an important point. A lot of people have got onto this whole Smith Rowe's played no minutes, Trossard's barely played minutes. You know, the first month of the season, and it's kind of unfortunate that first month is the end of the transfer window. You're pretty much just going for your best 11 if you possibly can. Once we're playing 2 games a week every week in all the different cup competitions, I think we'll see a lot more minutes for a lot more players. So it's all good. I think Arteta is waffling to make the lead to the game about his comments to take pressure off the players. Yeah, very possibly. Very possibly. But alternatively, the Run says the pressure of the United game is getting to Arteta. So 2 different opinions on it. Gravenberch, here we go. Well, I don't know. How's Gravenberch happened if Palhinha fell through? Is that true? Let me have a gander. What's old Fab saying? Gravenberch deal sealed. The feeling on all parties is very clear. Ryan will play for Liverpool. Sources confirm Ryan Gravenberch deal should be and will be final despite the incredible turnaround with João Palhinha. Liverpool believe all documents needed are already signed. Wow. So it might be that Bayern Munich had actually already signed the deal. Wow. Gino, it wasn't confirmed yesterday because he hadn't even done the medical until today. But that's interesting. So it could be that Bayern have actually really shot themselves in the foot. If they've signed that to let Gravenberch go and then for whatever reason Palhinha's fallen through. Unlucky. I feel so bad for Newcastle. One day they get City in the EFL Cup. Next day they get the group of death. Do you know what, right? And I've spoken to quite a few Newcastle fans about this. And I said it when we were on stream yesterday. Newcastle were probably not going to win the Champions League. It's not offensive to say they probably weren't going to win the Champions League. As it is, in their first go back in the Champions League, they get PSG, Dortmund, and AC Milan. They are 3 top quality away days. If you're a match-going fan, that is a hell of a group to get. And if you go out, you go out. So I don't actually think they'll be too upset about it. Jakob, no worries. No worries at all. I appreciate you being here. What's your FPL looking like? What is my FPL looking like? I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up at the end. Are you on the terrace tonight? I'm not on the terrace tonight. No, I'm going out tonight. Going out. Bayern will just sign a star midfield from one of their Bundesliga feeder clubs. Possibly. The 5-a-side football team that I normally play for, there's West Ham and Luton fans in the team. So we're going to a bar to watch the game because that'll be fun. Newcastle are better than Milan and Dortmund. Possibly. Time will tell, I suppose. Time will tell. Do you think Arteta will use the old system versus United with Partey and Rice instead of Rice and Havertz like you predicted before the season started? I hope so. Look, for me, the ideal starting lineup is Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel Zinchenko, Rice, Partey, Ødegaard, Saka. I don't really mind who plays through the middle, whether it's Eddie, Gabriel Jesus, or even Kai Havertz, and then Martinelli off the left. That is my ideal. I do still need to do the mods, George. That was my bad. Also, look out for this, by the way. Earlier on today, I recorded a video with the United Stand, a preview of the Arsenal United game with the United Stand. I think they're uploading that on Sunday morning, I think. So if you want to watch me on the United Stand, that'll be there on Sunday morning. Taking the missus out? No. Beers with the boys. Unfortunately. United's midfield will be very weak if they have to play Eriksen. Yes, so if you didn't know, United have signed Sofian Amrabat, which is a great signing for them. I think it's a really important signing for them. However, He cannot play against Arsenal. He was not registered by midday today. He cannot play against Arsenal, which is good. It's beneficial. Rory X Goldbridge. Unfortunately, no Mark Goldbridge. Mark Goldbridge wasn't in it. It was Beth and Faz. But it was still great. It was still great to be on there. Arteta is talking about how his levels are much more complex and above ours. Man City tinker with their system all the time. If we want to stay in the choice to catch them, in the race to catch them, we should do the same. Yeah, I don't disagree, and I know what he's saying. It's just funny because sometimes he just blatantly just doesn't want to answer questions, and it's just quite funny when he just goes off on one. What was the shoot for? KickX? Yeah, the shoot was with KickX. Yeah. I'm pretty confident about United. I'm confident. I think we're going to win 3-1. 3-1 is my score prediction for the United game. You should do more stuff on pitch side. To be fair, they've not invited me back. I don't think it works well when I go on pitch side, in all honesty. I think it's too Arsenal heavy. For a podcast that isn't meant to be, focused around Arsenal. Is the truth. What will happen with our defence? Are they able to play with the same defenders each 3 days in the Champions League and the league? I think most of them can, to be fair. I think the majority of the defence are capable of playing twice a week. They should be. If Eddie has a good game against United and the rest of the season, do you think he'll replace Jesus? I don't know if he'll replace Jesus necessarily. But I think he'll feature more. I think it will become less of a kind of Jesus is just plays every game and Nketiah only plays if he's injured. 5 hours, 26 minutes to sign a defender? Yeah, it's not going to happen in my opinion. I'd be very, 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 very surprised if we make a signing at this point. There's just no news on any of it. No news on any of it at all. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Gooner, the game where I give you an ex or current Arsenal player's career path minus the Arsenal part of it, and you have to guess who the player is. Fastest fingers on your keyboards in the YouTube chat to get the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community and the wider Arsenal community. If you're watching on TikTok and you want to get involved, the Instagram icon in my bio. Head on over to the YouTube channel. Subscribe. Please do subscribe if you're here. It massively helps me out. We're on the way to 6,000 subscribers. But this ex or current Arsenal player started their career at Corinthians. They went to Valencia and they went to Corinthians. There you go. Corinthians, Valencia, Corinthians. Who is the Arsenal player? It's not Pepe, it's not Koscielny, it's not Martinelli. There we go. Lots of people have got it straight away. And the first person to get it was... It's Jake Maddiford. Normally, a top player of Guess the Non-Gooner, but today he's got Guess the Gooner. It is indeed Edu. It's a big day for Edu, and Edu is the Guess the Gooner. The Run was second, Devin was third, Ross Lawman was fourth, and IZK was fifth. But it is indeed Edu, who, literally his career was Corinthians to Arsenal to Valencia and back to Corinthians. He actually didn't have a very long career at all. His career was only 13 years, which is quite short. Is it possible to explain how the ticket exchange fully? So the ticket exchange, if you go on the Arsenal website and you're looking for a ticket for a game that's coming up and you've not got a ticket in the ballot, there's an option to find a ticket on the ticket exchange. Now, the way that tickets are put onto the exchange is if you're a season ticket holder or you win a ticket in a ballot, basically if you have a ticket and you can't go to the game for whatever reason, you put your ticket onto the ticket exchange and then another Arsenal fan can buy it for face value. The way it works is that the tickets, as soon as one person, say I'm putting my ticket on the exchange, as soon as I click the button to put the ticket on the exchange, it will appear. And the first person to click it at the other end to buy it gets it. So it's carnage. But that's how the ticket exchange works. Palhinha is 100% according to Fabrizio. 100% what? I don't know what's going on with Palhinha. 100% what? Wow. Johnny Evans has signed a 1-year deal with Manchester United. That's crazy. Oh, no. Okay, so Palhinha is 100% off. It's 100% off. No way to change the situation despite medical and media duties done today. Been told Fulham tried last minute for Scott McTominay, but no deal on player side, and Palhinha will return to Fulham. Crazy. Crazy. And do you know... do you know what that is? Why are you doing it 5 hours before deadline? You've got months. Why are you trying to do your business 5 hours before deadline? Chalobah deal also collapsed. There you go. But I just don't know. I mean, Palhinha is going to be gutted, by the way. So Fulham have got a job to kind of get him back in the right headspace. But this is the risk you run. This is the risk you run by leaving it until 5 hours before the deadline to get a deal done. I just don't have much sympathy. Guess the non-gooner. It's time for Guess the non-gooner. Guess the non-gooner. This is where I give you a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. I give you their full career path. You have to guess who it is. This player started at Danubio FC. They went to Palermo. They went to Napoli on loan. They went to Napoli permanently. They went to PSG, Manchester United, Valencia, and Boca Juniors. So Danubio, Palermo, Napoli on loan, Napoli permanently, PSG, Manchester United, Valencia, and Boca Juniors. Who is the player? And he's only gone and done a dirty double. It is Jake Matterford with the dirty double. He is good. He is good at Guess the Non-Gooner. It's Edinson Cavani. And Jake Matterford has done the double. Francisco Oliveira was second. Beast Destroyer was third. George Christodoulou was fourth. And SS9 was fifth. Do you know what? JD put Mikoli, and that is such a throwback to FIFA. I can't remember which FIFA it was, but Mikoli at Palermo, I think he was 82 rated. That is a throwback. But congratulations to Jake Matterford on correctly guessing Edinson Cavani. And I'm just going to bring up my my fantasy football team. Some of you wanted to know how the fantasy team is looking, so we will bring it up. Can I remember my password? That's the question. Can I remember my password? I can't remember my password. This isn't good. Uh-oh. What the hell was my password? I'm in. I've remembered the password. We're in. So, this. Is this my team? This isn't my team. How do I... this is my team. This is my team. Right, let me just show my screen. There we go. There we go. That is my team. We've got Ederson in goal. We've got Estupinian, Chilwell, Saliba as the defenders. We've gone 5 in midfield. We've gone Mbuemo, Ødegaard, Foden, Saka, and Sterling. And then Ollie Watkins. Now, I want some help. Watkins or João Pedro up top? Watkins or João Pedro up top? Aston Villa and Ollie Watkins away at Liverpool. Brighton at home to Newcastle. However, Pedro hasn't been starting. But then the reason I've got Watkins in there as it stands, the reason I have Watkins in there is because Liverpool's defence, no Virgil van Dijk, they still haven't signed a 6. I feel like Villa could score goals against Liverpool. So I'm feeling Watkins at the moment, to be honest. Ross Lawman saying Pedro 100%. SS9 is saying Watkins 100%. The chat is divided. Neither. Just play Rico Henry. He has a good fixture and just play Haaland up top. Interesting. Just play Rico Henry. Maybe I do just play Rico Henry. I'd look like a right Wally if Brentford don't keep a clean sheet, though. I look like a right wally. No Konate also. Yeah, no Konate either. So Liverpool's defence is looking shaky, I've got to be honest. That's why I'm thinking Watkins. Someone wanted to see the league as well. Let me jump over to the Rory Talks Football League. I've dropped down badly. Here is the league, though. Do we recognise any names at the top anymore? Top player is on 223. Who was I'm going to lose? Who was that? This is someone from the chat. This is someone from the chat on 220 points. Who was it? Oh, it's Francisco Oliveira. Francisco Oliveira is top. Is second. Second in the league. Let's look at their team. This is their team. Turner in goal. Estupinian. Rico Henry. Ben Chilwell, Mbuemo, Saka, Erdegaard, Mitoma, Haaland, Watkins, and Visser. So actually didn't have a great week, but was doing so well before that they've done fine. But anyway, that's that out of the way. But is it just one click for the buyer, or do you have to put your credit card stuff in before other people too? It's just one click, and then you've got about three. I can't remember how long you've got, but it's one click, and then you've got a few minutes to put in your card details and stuff. Brennan Johnson to Spurs for 45 million. Bit pricey, but a good deal. Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I like Brennan Johnson. I do like Brennan Johnson. And I know it's a Spurs signing. And 45 million is a little bit much for him. But I like him. I do like him. D Durples asked, what's the code? I'll put it in the chat. It's NDH9GQ, all lowercase. NDH9GQ. No worries, George. Good to see you. Have a good evening. Can you still join the league? You can. Yeah, you can. You use the code M for Michael, DH9GQ. It's fine. We'll get Evan Ferguson next window. Next summer, possibly. Anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please do like the video. Subscribe if you're not already. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll be back. No, I won't be back at 5 tomorrow. I'm doing a live stream on a thing called The Bookshop tomorrow. For the 3 o'clock kickoffs. I'm on a thing called The Bookshop tomorrow. And then obviously we play on Sunday. So have a fantastic evening. Have a fantastic weekend. And, look, hopefully, out of nowhere, Arsenal sign a defender on loan this evening. But I doubt it. Until then, goodbye, farewell.